Hello and welcome to today's video. We're going to briefly go over some player moves that have taken place the last few days. Try and pepper these in as they come along. If there are three players or teams, I guess, that have made changes, we'll update everybody on the roster. So, three players that were removed from teams that were still under contract and not technically free agents. LGD allowed Birdall to leave. Birdall with LGD was very, lackluster this past season. One of the worst top laners in the LPL statistically. Especially, you're using up an import slot as LGD and you're getting worse production than you would have if you had a domestic Chinese top laner. That's just kind of LGD in a nutshell. They're pretty pretty bad org. So 2-2 KDA, 7-8 CS per minute, 56.3 KP, 1.5 share differential. So other players on the team not quite dealing as much damage as relative to their gold. Something to keep in mind if you're new. That share differential is damage share minus gold share. LGD in summer were better than they were in spring. We saw with the carry oriented jungler meta, where we saw Brand, Zyra, etc. That really benefited a player like Meteor, who is very talented on carry oriented champions, one of the best pure carry junglers in the world, in my opinion. But in the end, when you average it all out, his Sejuani games and everything else are leave a lot to be desired, and then he evens out as, average almost. So that's a thing. Hai Chao played really well alongside him. They got better with Shaoyi in the support role. We're still, AD carry role. We're waiting on who the support will officially be. Jin Zhao retired this past week. 1.39 damage divided by gold, so did deal a decent amount of damage relative to the gold, but behind 473 gold at 15 minutes, so he was giving up a lot in that department. 13 champions, 86 games. You'd also like a wider champion pool. G2, Mickey X is out. In my opinion, Mickey is the second best player on G2 behind Caps. I think he is what made Hansama go. So when they make this change and we'll see what officially becomes the G2 roster, going forward here, I really doubt the replacement can replace Mickey. Mickey is, in my opinion, the best Western support out there. One season, one split does not erase what has been an illustrious career that, once in a while does have a down split, essentially. 2.7 KDA, 69.6 KP, negative 5.4 share differential. Your support, we'll compare it to Andal in a second. 0.78 damage divided by gold. At 15 minutes, behind 15 gold, 295 XP. When we take Hans Sama's numbers into effect, I'm sure they're winning lane. Hans and Mickey were very dominant at times. 1.87 vision efficiency. So that is vision score divided by wards placed. 20 champions in 115 games. So G2, they have their work cut out for him trying to replace him, for sure. DRX have signed Andal. Andal technically allowed to leave KDF. He was still under contract with KDF. So he's gone. I believe Quantum's gone as well. So it's going to be interesting to see who the Freaks officially have at support. But he got a little better this past year, Andal did. The year before, he definitely was on struggle street. I think he went like 0-18 or something in his games played. It was tragic. 2.2 KDA, 72.9 KP, so a little more involved in his team's success if they had any. KDF kind of left a lot to be desired once more last year. Negative 5.1 share differential, 0.81 return on investment. We look at Mickey. That's very similar, standard support stuff this past season. Down 160 gold, 130 XP. When we take into account who Andal played alongside, Bull, Taeyoon possibly in early spring, and then Leaper. What do you really expect from a guy that played with three different 80 carries? Honestly, you kind of screw over your support a bit that way. Not to mention they had multiple supports. Quantum played as well, so it was a situation where they had a revolving door down in bot lane with CV Max running captaining the ship, if you will. 1.92 vision efficiency, 19 champions, 80 games. Keep in mind, 4 of those 80 were in challengers. So, 3 player moves, 2 of which probably people don't care all that much about, Berdahl and Andal, because, well, they don't pay attention to teams that kind of are towards the bottom of the standings. But for those diehards, those are players that have moved around. Maybe Andal will start alongside Teddy and replace Playeta. And Berdahl, I've seen rumors that maybe he may be going to LTA. We'll see. You know, I think people are going to expect him to do well, but I will say this. Unlike Summit, so Summit went from the LCS to the LPL, and he, laning-wise, was not down 500 gold on average. He did not look bad, where Berdahl looked terrible. So, Berdahl going to Brazil or Latin America, whichever team ends up taking him, in LTA South, I don't know. Is he going to be better than a Weiser or a Lonely? Maybe. Because those guys, Weiser did get a chance. I think, you know what? Both those guys might have gotten an opportunity. Berdahl kind of got screwed early on in his career with Gen G and D+, Dom Monkey at the time, a very young player. Thrust into a big moment trying to replace Nuguri. That was obviously not great for him in his career, and then he kicks around to some pretty sus teams, FearX being one of them. So in the end, it's a situation where, I think he was kind of spoiled isn't the word, but he was kind of, and not in a way that he was spoiled as in he should have benefited, but as in like whoever developed him, whoever was responsible for getting him to realize his potential, spoiled him as a player, and didn't allow him to realize realize that potential. Sorry. So that's it for the player moves for the last few days. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.